Students, have you thought of, out of all the life processes where we need energy to do work and that is vital for the living of an organism, why is a reproduction considered to be a life process? It is neither important for the living of an organism, neither it is helping an organism to be alive. Then what is the importance of reproduction? Well, the answer to this is that if there was no reproduction on this earth for the living organisms, there would not have been any continuity of organisms. Last day, in our previous class, we have learned about the asexual mode of reproduction in case of living organisms. Today, we are going to read about generalized form of sexual reproduction in living organisms. Sexual reproduction can be broadly classified into three groups. First, pre-fertilization, followed by fertilization and post-fertilization. Pre-fertilization includes the gamete formation. When the gametes are of same type, identical, we call those type of gametes to be homogametes, or this type of gametes are called isogametes. Whereas there are certain organisms like human beings where the gametes differ with respect to their morphology. If you see the female gamete, that is the ovum, it is quite big compared to that of the sperm. The ovum is big, round, and this one is the sperm. So such kind of gametes are called heterogametes, and the phenomenon by which these two gametes fertilize or fuse with each other to result into a zygote, this process is called as your syngamy. So when it is same gametes, isogamous type of fertilization takes place in an organism. This is generally seen in case of low group of organisms, say for example algae. In case of algae, you might have heard about an algae called Chlamydomonas. In case of Chlamydomonas, we see this kind of isogametes or homogametes undergoing isogamy resulting into formation of a zygote. Now let us talk about these heterogametes. Heterogametes also fertilize and they also result into the formation of a zygote. Now these gametes are always haploid. Gametes are haploid and the zygote is diploid. But in nature, there are certain organisms which are developed without undergoing the process of meiosis, because you know that every gamete which is produced from a cell, it is called a meiocyte, it undergoes meiosis resulting into formation of the gametes which is having the n number of chromosome. N means haploid number of chromosome. Now when there will be n plus n, it will be 2n. So a zygote is diploid, whereas a gamete is haploid. Now there are some organisms like that of your honeybee which undergoes a process called parthenogenesis. Now in this parthenogenesis, the queen bee gives two types of eggs. One is a fertilized egg and one is a non-fertilized egg. The fertilized egg results into formation of either the female worker depending upon the food given to it, that is bee bread or the pollen bread as we call it, or if it is given only the royal jelly, then it results into formation of a queen bee. There are some organisms which when are subjected to environmental conditions like salinity, heat, shock, temperature, etc., they result into formation of change in the that is your sex of the organism. So that varies from one organism to another organism. Now the zygote further undergoes a process of post-fertilization which is called as your embryogenesis. Now this embryo which is formed, this is a mass of cell which will be now undergoing the differentiation that will result into an organism. Now pre-fertilization stage, which is the gamete formation, and as I told you the gametes are always haploid. Let us see this in our book. You will see here various organisms names are given and along with that the chromosome number is given there. You have to find out whether the organism's chromosome number which is given here is a myocytic cell or that of a gametic cell. If suppose in your examination the myocytic cell's chromosome number is given, you have to just half it and then you will be getting the gametes number. Say, let us take the example of fruit fly. Fruit fly, you see the chromosome number is 8. So 8 if you divide it by 12, what will be the chromosome number here? So 8 if you divide it by 2, sorry, not 12. So 8 if you divide it by 2, then it will be 4. So the chromosome number in the gametes will be 4. Now the gamete transfer has to take place. In living world, there are certain organisms which show external fertilization in animal kingdom, and in other organisms they show internal fertilization. External fertilization is disadvantageous in the sense that the organism has to depend upon the external agents. They can be subjected to predators. So lot of gametes will be wasted in this condition. Whereas if you compare it with that of the internal fertilization, lot of advantages is there. The organism gets a internal environment of the mother where it can prevent the adverse situations and can grow into a significant size before getting the birth. So internal fertilization is much more advantageous compared to external fertilization. If we talk about the plant kingdom, in case of plant kingdom, the fertilization or the gametes transfer is done by the help of certain agents by the process called pollination. The agents include your honeybee, it includes your birds, it includes your butterflies, even small animals, human beings, in some cases elephants. Yes, my students, elephants, and that type of pollination is called elephophily, which is very rare. If you go to Africa, there is a flower, the largest flower in the world, called Rafflesia. Now this Rafflesia is pollinated by that of elephant. Now after the fertilization, the post-fertilization stage, the zygote which is formed, it undergoes the process of cell differentiation, which is embryogenesis. Some organisms which lay egg, the fertilized egg develop into organism. We call those organisms to be oviparous. And some organisms give birth to the young ones. These organisms are called viviparous. Now viviparous organisms, the mammals are the viviparous organisms. Not all, of course, because there is a mammal which is called duck-billed platypus, which is a oviparous mammal. This is an exception in the mammals. In case of plants, the flower which undergoes the process of fertilization, it results into formation of zygote inside the that is your ovule, that results later into your seed, and inside the seed is the developing embryo. Now there are certain flowers in which the parts like sepals, petals, stamens, they wither away. But there are certain plants in which the sepals remain even after fertilization, and there are some flowers in which the parts other than the ovary can develop into fruit. So depending upon which part of the flower results into formation of fruit, fruits can be further classified. Those fruits which are formed from the ovary, they are called as the true fruits. And those fruits which are formed from the parts other than ovary, they are called the false fruits. Also, there is a third category of fruits in which the fruit, ovary transforms into fruit without getting fertilized, which is again a parthenocarpic fruit. That will result into seedless variety of fruit, because here you see the fertilization process has not taken place. So if the fertilization has not taken place, then definitely there is no seed formation, there is no mixing of the two gametes, isn't it? So there will be no seed formation, so those are called the parthenocarpic fruits. But if you talk in terms of economic benefits, parthenocarpic fruits are highly beneficial, and they are of great importance in terms of horticultural products.